Hello, world. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Natalie, and I'm one of the UXPin experts. So we are so happy to have you here today and to join us for a webinar with such an important topic of designing for accessibility. Our topic today is 11 ways to start your inclusive accessible design toolkit. And our amazing speaker, design professional, Piotr Źrołka, will be speaking today. And he is an accessibility expert, UX strategist, and the CEO of Kinaole. And we're so lucky to have him today. So before we get started, I would like to go over a couple housekeeping items so you know how to participate in today's event. Please drop your questions in the Q&A section and we'll ask them at the end of the webinar. And we would like to ask you to hang around after the Q&A session to learn more about UXPin's merge technology, which is our efforts to help bridge the gap between design and development. And I know the audience is really excited for the webinar with Piotr, so I'll stop talking and I'll pass it over to you. Welcome, Piotr. Thank you so much.
Good morning, dzień dobry, buongiorno, zdравствуйте. Hello, guys. So I'm really excited to be here, and it's a great honor to speak on this stage about the accessibility. A little bit about the topic now. I'm switching to presentation. Yes, we are here. So 11 ways to start your inclusive accessibility design toolkit. I split this presentation into 3 chapters, a little bit boring theory. Then we will go to the UXPin. I will show you in the practice how you can build accessible digital product and how you can serve the inclusive. And of course, I will go into Google and we will try to check how it's really built in terms of the accessibility. And I would like to welcome the Bernard and the Cornat who agreed to speech today in the sign language. So we're having a Polish language and international one. And raise the hands, the guys who are deaf and joined this event. It will be very interesting to hear and see how many of you just joined this event. You can post it and you can use the chat. I really encourage you to use it because there's also a way to communicate between us. So welcome, guys, and Conrad, Bernard, enjoy. Okay, so thanks everyone. Okay, let me. We're having some. I think I need to share the right screen, and now it should be much better. There's always some technical issue. The webinar without a technical issue is not webinar. So go. Once again, Bernard and Konrad on the full screen. And let's go. My name is Piotr Źrołka. Thank you, Natalie, for introducing me. And I would like to visit you in the Cali soon. So there's a few logos that I help build accessible and usable product. I'm still working with some of them. So let's back to our main topic. What is the inclusive design? I will not tell this now. Let's jump in the world of the disabled people. More than 1 billion people around the globe are serving some impairment. One of them is the visual impairment, is the vision, the blind people, the people who are not seeing the colors, like approximately 10% of the population not seeing the proper colors. On the other side, we can also say about the temporary exclusion. You see a driver and there is a bright light. And in the one moment, I cannot see, for example, somebody who passes a street. So this is a temporary one. Let's go down further. Motor impairment. So lack of the hands because you lost them during the war or you're just born. But on the other hand, we're having a temporary exclusion that, for example, your daddy or mommy, I'm the dad, and I discovered that there is a lock button on the washing machine. Guys, the lock button on the washing machine. Have you ever used it before you were parents? This is amazing. And then the hearing impairment. Uh, on the other side, we're having a bartender. There's a quite noisy place. And this is temporary. You need to shout something. I need something to drink, please, and ordering that. And cognitive ability. Imagine that you are speaking English and you're going to Scotland. Try to speak with those guys. Wow. So we, of course, there's accessibility and inclusive in the natural. I cover a topic related to the impairment, which is related to us, to our body. But also there is something above that that also impact our life. As you see, like location might be involved in the reduce our normal cognitive ability to go. Education, the gender, even the age is something that might change our perspective to see exactly the same thing. Welcome, Chicago. Welcome, Germany. And we, as the designers, this is my hypothesis that we excluding many people when we building the digital system. Why we doing this? And why we designing the disability? And this is a real picture like, oh, I have idea, let's build a startup. And you find your personas and you think, oh, this person will be fit my business because he's young, he has money, and I will focus my attention on this person. But our society is a little bit bigger. We're having older people, we're having a disabled people, we're having a people who are not speaking exactly the same language. And here is the first toolkit, which might help you to build the inclusiveness inside your DNA or company DNA. And there is an impact map. And on the beginning, and every digital product should have this impact. You don't redesign the page because it's the ugly. You redesign this page because you want to change something. You want to change the conversion. You want to change the satisfaction. And then going further, I really love this concept because it helps to define people based on their attitudes, based on their character. And for example, we're having a socializer who really love the people. We're having a spontaneous guy who wants to, we're trying to build an application to travel. So spontaneous, oh, I would like to go tomorrow to USA. And we're having a price conscious person who really perhaps don't have a money or and wants to also travel. And of course, further, I don't want to go with the UX things because today we're talking about the accessibility. I would like to focus on the price conscious people because usually we're saying, okay, there is a student. Oh, students don't have money, or maybe the regular family who wants to travel once in the year on Florida, in Jamaica, or perhaps to Poland. Why not? But on this other side, we're having, for example, older people who also jump into price conscious characteristic because, okay, maybe we don't have too much money, but I would like to go in the LA to San Francisco. Why not? On the other side, we're having people who using the wheelchair on the daily basis. So we're having a different perspective. And why? we as the UX designers forgot, because this is my observation, usually we forgot to include those people. And I make one step back to the presentation, and I don't like the personas. Personas is like bad, because we tend to focus on the demographic. We don't focus on the people who want to achieve something. And this is really a really nice concept of uh, understanding and putting inclusiveness into your company. Focus on the characteristics rather on some demographic data. And you can say, oh, it's really hard. We don't have money to involve the people who are deaf. We don't have money to invite the people who are blind. It's not true. It's really cheap. This is like including additional person, or maybe you can replace your standard person that you invited and say, okay, we already have 5 people. You remember you are the UX designers, perhaps all of you, or maybe not. But there is the chart saying that 8 people is enough to define the usability problem. And this is example that you can invite, and those people are not sitting in their homes. They are active. They're using the computer on a daily basis. And you can see the live session of the usability session with the blind person, and also the deaf person, because as you see here, we also having the interpreters to translate the language that we don't know. And is also my exclusiveness, because I not speak exactly the same language as other people. Yeah, the recording will be sent out. So it's really, really cheap. Just invite them. Let's invite, because exactly, there's a Łukasz. Łukasz is a blind person from Poland, and he traveling on the regular basis through Poland to Czech Republic, from one city to another. So our responsibility as designer is to help them to make this process smoother, easier, usable. And closed caption. Like, for example, we're having a closed caption. This example of the YouTube video with the subtitle, with the closed caption, and perfect. There is a people who English is, for example, the second language. So I can slowly understand what the teacher is saying in tutorial. Imagine that your speaker just broken and you don't hear, and you want to watch something. Oh, you can benefit from the accessibility, because you can see, you can understand the context. And for sure, for people having a, sorry guys, hard of hearing, this also helping, because I can understand the context. And now I drink the water. Yes, we come back. And how we can start to bring the inclusiveness into our company. Start small. I don't recommend to go big. There is every year, there is a global accessibility day that you can start, and you can ask your developers on the right. There is in Colibra that we spend entire day to understand what is inclusiveness, what it means to have a problem with the visual impairment and don't perceive the colors as others. We also build the accessibility awareness cards. So based on the cards, everyone need put their shoes into a blind person, in the person who having the dyslexia, and understand how to use the digital product. And this is another case with the workshop, that the people with no vision, they're trying to build together a house. And that helps to put a little bit empathy for those people to understand, oh, okay, this is the case. Of course, inviting the real person who using the screen doors it's also a fantastic choice. Just invite this person and, oh, please show us how you're using this software on the daily basis. And then this is about the web accessibility. So let's jump into WCAG, which is a global standard who explain how to build digital software, which will be accessible for everyone. There is a 3 levels. There's A, AA, and AAA. And based on the law that is available in the US and Europe, single and AA is something that you should meet. And now I will give you 10 advice how you can build in those requirements into your digital prototype using the UXPin. And the first thing is the keyboard. You know, perhaps we having the keyboard, we putting our passwords, usernames, and maybe we haven't a look, oh, there is a focus because, oh, we always this input, we just type. But some people need a focus. Even we need sometimes focus if we're having a big amount of the data that, okay, where I am on the screen, where is my mouse? There should be, the WCAG also stated that it should be logical order. So somehow those data, when I'm using the keyboard, should follow some rules. There is also bypass block, so ability to skip the content that is repeatable on the page. And of course, avoid the keyboard trap, because if you jump and you are not able to go away, this is a small problem. And now I will be practice the switching at different screens. So I have a US Golf page, and what I'm doing now, I'm just starting to use the keyboard only. For using the keyboard without the screen reader, you can use the tab. So go to one step to the first active element on the page. And if you want to back, you click Shift, tab. Okay, and now I'm on the US Golf. And what happened? Oh, this is something. Skip the main content. It only appears for the people who are using the keyboard. When I click the enter, what happened? I skip the things that are repeatable on the every page. So I just land on this page. Perfect. So I can go. New York Times, the same. Focus. Focus now is visible on the hamburger icon. Now I am clicking the tab, search icon, and then the skip to content. Wow, the next fantastic element that helps me to jump from here, because you see there's a plenty of the elements that if I don't hit the enter button, I need go, 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 approximately 20 clicks to go to the content that I'm interested in. And now we built the UXPin landing page that you perhaps saw it once you register on the page. And let's imagine there's your work. You just build this beautiful crafted page and you said, okay, voila, it's finished. But is it really finished? I would say no. There's still a lot to do, because how you translate for the developers that there should be a keyboard logic on this page. So for that, and of course, there's my idea how we can mark keyboard logic on the digital software. You can find your own, but you need to somehow communicate, guys, there should be a keyboard logic. This is a quite easy page that we can do, but if you have a complex solution, we need to think, what does the keyboard logic really mean? So based on the definition, keyboard should be accessible on the active elements. So the first active element that I designer, as the designer I design, is the logo. So there is a first element. The next one, we having some social media. So perfect. Let's go farther, 2. So, and we are in the Western culture and we reading from left to right. If we design something for Arabic, there's a revert. Of course, we need to adapt our design. So 1, 2, 3. So there's a 1, 3. We can sample the arrows. There's something in the one big component. Say this starting here and just follow some rules. Then we designed some buttons, save my spot. So this is the next logical element. Works. Then we go, there's a text, bunch of the text, and here we're having a form. So we should define what is a focus on the form. So either there will be this first form, or we can decide it will be entire component which cover all those fields. I would say, okay, this is a field, don't worry. This is the first element that we should allow user to jump. And then I will use the arrow. Where is my arrow? I just lost my arrow. Okay, go. Voila. So we're having 6, we're going further, and there's a button. It's a quite easy example, but let's give you a question mark. Let's imagine there is a model. So model window, which is a display on the page. You click just, and there's a model, so pop-up. And my question, my question will be, of course, the field, the first active element will be entire. And the question is, where should the focus go? When I open this form, it should go directly on this model or should go on the first visible active element. So what do you guys think? The model title? Okay, there's a Ryan saying the model title. Who say something different? Who build title? First visual element. Okay. And I really love that you're having the exit button. Perfect. You're having a different perspective and it is really good. Oh, somebody saying the cancel button. First active element input, autofocus. I don't know. I also don't know. Maybe we need to spend and do some research on that. But I would say the focus should be on the entire box. This is my statement. Then I'm going to the first active element. And my question is 3, 4. What should be first, cancel or save my spot? I'm giving the $1 for first person who put save, cancel, save, cancel. Okay, $1 really encourage people. So third person, I will send you the Amazon gift card. We need to save that. And yes, I totally agree that it should go on the first button. And you see on the previous screen, I told you we're reading from left to right. But here, the logical choice, because we want to encourage user to go with the happy path. So I'm very interested to just save my spot and then go on the cancel button. Perhaps it should be also the close icon here. But this is that have the happy path and then the cancel. So remember, always logical order. And you yes, save my spot, primary action, correct, cancel, secondary action, perfect. But you need design this, because if you forgot, pass this information for your amazing development team, they can forget, because they can build this page, how it's in the DOM structure. And by accidentally, they can say, oh, cancel is the first one. So we need to be careful, and we, as the people who building the digital structure, are responsible for that. And now I will go to the page which you should have. Everyone should know it. There is a list how we should use the interaction keyboard versus our digital elements on the page. And it should be like the Bible sorry for putting religion on that, but it should be every designer Bible, like the Nissan heuristic. You should know, like the button, it's activated by enter and a space. And Candy putting very interesting, there is a revert option, save and cancel. There's also UX, because in some cases we can revert the cancel, because why? People don't tend. And usually we just, clicking the first button on the right, and then, nothing happened. And then we clicking again. And for example, from time to time, we can revert the buttons in order to enforce user, please read the message, because we know that people don't read messages. And this is a Bible. And also here is a sentence that you can close the model dialog using the escape. So if I'm in the model, I can use it. Of course, there's decision, the UX designer decision, if we should allow it. For example, if you're putting very important data in the model and you don't want to lose them, there is a question. Okay, you can use the escape, but maybe that should be a, are you sure, dear user, you want to close this model? But this is a sentence. So if somebody states differently, send him this a chit chat, and let me send this to the all people. And this is like written in the stone, so it's not changeable. And there's information, tab, shift, tab, so you should know it. And sometimes you can put this information in the accessibility design system. I really love, I know what is the time, it's good, it's good. I really love the carbon design from IBM, and they spend a lot of attention on accessibility, because there is a button, and if I go here, there is a behavior section, and maybe I will make this a little bit bigger for accessibility purpose. And there is a statement that button is activated by enter and or space. And also the context of the link and button is crucial. I really love the discussion with my team. What is the difference between link and the button? This is a very good question, but we don't have the time to take it online. Then go to the UXPin, and let's back to our page. So fantastic. We just define the keyboard order. There is really good. So I'm usually, what I'm doing, I'm working on the different groups, and this is for me works. If you have a better idea, just send me those information on the Twitter, on LinkedIn in the end of the session. Then very important from the user perspective is to split the entire page in the landmarks. What does the landmarks mean? Treat the landmarks like the boxes which are keeping familiar functionality. And US Gov, and I really love the US Gov because the US Gov is a quite accessible digital software. And I'm using the landmark plugin, which is available on the Google Chrome and Firefox. So if you're using the different browser, there is still chance to use it. And as you see, I have a different boxes. The first box is the navigation. Then I have a main navigation. Then I have a box, the main one. And you can watch, I really encourage you to watch the previous webinar about accessibility. There is a more about the landmarks. But for this purpose, every UX designer should define the boxes for the page. Landmark, just landmark. There's a plugin. So how you should treat it? So I just define on my page, there is a navigation. So there's a first bar which keeping some, let's say the navigation. It's a little bit a pity because there is only, let's say, the UXPin logo, which is a clickable, but a webinar on the UXPin. So if you go on the webinar on the UXPin, there is you type accessibility and you find accessibility webinar. I don't remember the name, sorry for that. And then I have my founder page. So how should I define this context? And I would say this everything is the main. This is the main content of this page. And I would just change this main. Okay, this is the main. So we're having the navigation region, then there is a main one, and the last one, I would say this is like the footer. This is some additional information, something promotion, maybe some privacy, security, terms of, and blah, 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 and footer. Perfect. And this is like your architect of building the page. You know, if you're building a house and you hire the architect, doing exactly the same, starting to slowly draw, okay, how this page should look like. From my perspective, every page should start from that. There's like information architecture, how we want to split this page. Of course, it might change. And then if you speak exactly the same language as your developer and you say, oh man, please put those information in the navigation landmark, they say, ooh, this guy speaking exactly the same language as I, as a developer language. So you will gain a lot in your develop team, but also is building the architecture information. If you're gonna to change the page and you're gonna to put some additional information, like for example, on the right side, you're gonna build additional navigation, it will be also easier to build this structure from development perspective. Okay, so UXPin. So we're having a keyboard topic, keyboard focus, and you know, I used to work in this case, just in the car, and it's really sometimes hard to use the mouse or touchpad. So keyboard is like blessing. So this is also usability. Then, what happened? The page title. It's very important. When you building a digital solution, the web solution, you should define the page title. Usually we forgot about it. Oh, we just developed beautiful crafted page. But also there's something that there's a SEO, there's a marketing purpose, because you can be higher on the list on the Google, but it's also very important. Why? Because there's a first information that will be read by screen reader. So this is like the identity of your page. You should define it. Of course, you can use the design system for that to define that information, or just, you know, go on this page, put here UXPin accessibility webinar, make it, of course, the color, and and of course I did some typo. UXPin, please introduce the correction, and voila. Very fancy, and I really love this functionality from UXPin, because this is available in every software that is help to us as the UI designers to build a digital system. But this functionality in UXPin is built in, so you don't need to install any plugin. Of course, in the Adobe Photoshop, sorry for saying the competition, but you know, we should be equal for everything. I really love this because it's showing me when something will match the minimum contrast for elements. I will back to this in the moment. But the page title is quite important. You can just inform this, and you can put this in the specification. Hey guys, remember about the page title. Okay. So, and then we're having the pause and stop. It's super important if you're building the e-commerce pages, you have something that is changing over the time. It might be even the stock exchange. Everyone should have a possibility to switch off. So you are able to read this content and understand. So pause stop is a super. So if you have on the page something that is changing, even if you have some animation, consider to build this option. I really love the Walmart page, and I will show you the. And I forgot about the one thing, but let's come back. Walmart. Simple page. And you have this carousel that's showing automatically the next picture. I can just pause and I can just see this picture. I can read whatever is here. And among the landmarks, quite important things is the heading structure. Heading structure is like the table of the content. If you open the book, you're having a table of content and you just read, okay, I want to go to the page number 10. If you open the magazine, it's exactly the same experience. So headings, it's something that help the people to, for example, using the screen readers, to jump very quickly to the section that they are interested in. So I'm using for that the headings map plugin. This is the name of that. Maybe I will I'll zoom it. Headings map, this is a plugin. And I can very quickly jump to the headings that I'm interested in. And I will show you the shortcut that is used for the NVDA. And it's very important to understand that the people who are using the screen readers might use the screen readers in a different way. So if there is a Jake and Samantha, Jake might, for example, use the headings, jump by headings, but Samantha used the region landmark shortcut. And this, for example, you can see if you're using the NVDA, NVDA is the one of the very popular screen reader who read the content which is displayed on the page. You can very quickly, for example, jump to the heading number 1 using the number 1 on your keyboard. If you want to jump to the next active landmark, you can use the D shortcut. So there's a different perspective of using the screen readers. And let's jump to the Walmart. What is the most important here? Heading level 1, only 1 on the single page. So don't put it more than 1 heading number 1 on the page. Then follow the structure. And I really encourage you to build less is more. Unfortunately, in the Poland, we having noticed this issue that everyone putting the headings everywhere, really everywhere. But also from the UX perspective, we need to think as smart. There is an information architecture on our page. So headings map, guys, this is a plugin. So if you type the headings map, and I would say this structure is lovely. I really love it. For example, like make me a little bit bigger and now smaller. Shop by category. And this is a heading level 2. So if somebody wants to jump and understand those stuff, he type A2 shortcut 4 times, and he's here. And then he can use the arrows to jump for the next active element. Very clever. So if I go to the my design, what is the H1 on this page? Guys, what is, I will put the headings in the end of the session. So what is heading level 1 on this page? Yes, 11, fantastic. So, and here I really love the design system from UXPin, that I can very quickly define and add, blah, blah, blah. It's adding something. So define automatically the heading structure. And now I can go to the design system. Blah, 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 blah. And I having my typography. For example, I can define this is heading, heading 1, and voila, that's it. Then I would say, what will be next one? Do you suggest me that I should have the heading level 2 or not? Register for a webinar. Yes, I totally agree with you, because this is the name of the talk. There is some date, so definitely there's not the table of the content of this page. But yes, register for webinar is the H2, and that's it. And that's end. There's like very short, less is more, 2 levels. And this is fantastic because, if I want to read a little bit more, I have an opportunity below the heading level 1. If I want to register, I have a level 2, which I can add, and I can define that in the design system. That's it. In terms of the sizes, I would say today you don't care about the sizes. Even I will tell you more. Are you able to find on this page Walmart.com, save money, live better? Where is this sentence? Hidden, yes. Hidden, exactly. Nowhere. Yeah, Anna, point for you. This heading is hidden, and we can hide some headings to help people to understand the context. No, it's on the top. It's hidden somewhere. If we go on the structure on the page, now very technical one, but heading, Walmart. No, I will put this in this way. Oh, you see, this is below. Oh, let me hide this. H1. This is a skip. And this level heading is somewhere here. So it's totally hidden. Yeah, the tab is exactly in the same way, the same, but we shouldn't put the H1 on the title. The title and the H1 is totally different one. Also very important, the accessibility is also applied on the media. So if I have a Word document, I can go to Magic Option Properties. There is a summary, and there's also title. There's a title, so page title, reference to the web system. And here, if I want to define H1, guys, there is also opportunity. I having those styles. And there is exactly the same rules apply for the Word documents and for the PDF documents, because those should be also accessible. Yeah, it's just visual hidden and Google can read it, or even the screen reader. Okay, so we just cover a few rules and let's go further. So we covered the, oh my gosh, what happened? Now, okay, I'm back, the headings. So headings, build the site structure and the follow hierarchy. This is the most important thing. H1, H2, H3. Sometimes there is a discussion with the designers. If I having the model window, let's jump. Let's assume this is a model. Should I put the H1 on the model? And there is a lot of discussion. I really, from my perspective, model is a new content because I'm on the page, I hit the button and something appear. So it sometimes have a different context. Is somebody using the H structure, heading structure, I can very quickly jump to the content and understand, okay, what is there? But sometimes no. And WCAG is also very general. There is no like the one sentence saying, yes, you should always use it. Yeah, you should use it on the model. It's based on the context and based what you want to achieve on the page. Okay. And then my favorite topic is the images, and not only images, everything which is not the text, non-text content. This is a proper way to say that. So if we're having a text, it's very easy by screen reader to read those information. But if I want to allow the screen reader that the image will be read, we can do some magic. So we can define the alternative text. And let's do switch. And if we look on this page, what is non-text content? First of all, logo. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So what we can do, we should start to define the description of those information. And we need to be smart in this definition. One pro tip, if for example you're having the LinkedIn and you define this information, this link should open in the new tab, you should also describe that in the HTML. Unfortunately, this icon might be a image, but it might be also the SVG, or it might be a CSS. There is a different methods to define the alternative text or define those information that you want to pass for the user. But it's also very important to pass the entire information. If this is open in the new tab, you need to communicate this for the user. LinkedIn, it will be open in the new tab. And also I haven't prepared that, but on the Facebook, every time when you upload your picture, Facebook automatically using the artificial intelligence, scan your picture and putting alternative text on behalf of you. Of course, you're having a possibility to define the alternative text on every picture that you put on Facebook. It's applied on the LinkedIn, it's applied on the Twitter. So today, if you're managing the social media, it's very beneficiary to put this alternative text, not only for the people who are using the screen reader. Imagine that you're having a big repository of every picture that you put on the web. So Facebook, which having a little bit of data privacy problem, but I'm welcome all Facebook employee, we can very quickly find the picture based on the text. It's even on your iPhone and Google Play, it's exactly the same. If you upload the picture, sometimes you can put, I'm looking for the outdoor. So you can find those pictures. So this is also a little bit scary, but this is a future. And your responsibility as the UX designer is to define those alternative text, those information that you want to pass. Because developer, okay, he can put, LinkedIn, Facebook. Or if you don't put the right information, screen reader will read entire URL information. And for example, I can ask the question, is this icon with the accessible sign is important or not? There is your decision. Because if you decide this information, for example, is only decorative purpose and don't pass there any meaningful information for the people who using the alternative text, you can mark this like the empty alt. This attribute from HTML, and there is information for the developer that, okay, I need to build this in this way. From screen reader perspective, it means skip this alt. So it will not exist. Of course, if not passed any right information. Okay. Yes, you can use the area hidden true. There is another option to hide this content. As I mentioned, or maybe I will show you because you're very eager to learn the new things. So you're my guest. So if I go to WCAG, and there is more option. No text content. So this is, I would say, like the Steve Jobs, is available today for free for everyone. So this is a WCAG Web Content Accessible Guideline. This 2.1 is available for free. Everyone has access. Just type into Google. Click non-text content. So this is information about those information with not passing text, and you can see there is a plenty option how you can address those information. One of them is here, using the alt attributes on the image element. So if you're, of course, willing to learn a little bit of technicality, there is a possibility, but also there is a PDF. So if you have a PDF, there is a short description, a functionality on the Adobe Acrobat 9, so a little bit oldie, but still there is a way how you can also put the alternative text on that. In the PDF or even the keynotes, there is a possibility to define the alternative text also. So there is a technology. And here, as I mentioned, there is alt. Yes, and somebody say, yeah, there's area hidden. Yeah, you know, I really like first rule of ARIA, don't use ARIA. Teodora, I totally agree with you. You can use the ARIA, but you need to define guidelines how you're gonna to use it. Because if everyone start to use the ARIA meta language, it will be a mess in the end. You need to have a really, really guidelines. So better, even I would say, you can use for the people who are technical, you can use span class. Okay, make this a little bit bigger. Whoopa. And I will just put the class, which will be only, there is a very popular Bootstrap class, screen reader only. And of course, I need to put something on the beginning. And here I can put some text. And this is, of course, how we can address images, and only image. Oh, yeah. It's here. So I can put here the logo UXPin. As you see, even if this short webinar, there's a plenty option how we can address the same thing. And for us as the non-technical UX designers, we should define this. And this might be a good discussion with the development team. Hey guys, how do you want to address this alternative text? If there will be alt, or do you want to use the class screen reader only, or maybe ARIA hidden? You can be a partner with your developer to understand that. And I could just see this almost running around of the time. And the same thing for the links. So if you have a link, you need to notify the user what happened. And the most obvious bug or issue is with the read more. I really don't like those elements, but if you are pushed to use them, you need to add the context of those read more. So for example, you can add additional information, read more about something. So when I jump to the link, screen there will read also the information that is hidden in the HTML. And a little bit to speed up the language. The language is a super important. And every time when you're building the page, you should define the main language that this page will gonna to speak. And this is something that is defined. Oh, it's not here. Oh, funny. Let's go to the Walmart. Oh, and there is attribute which is called language. I'm trying to make, and it state the English. So, for example, if you support the plenty languages like the Spanish, the Polish, you should put those information here and remember or change it. Why? Because Screener automatically change to this language. And for example, if you're having some sentence in the middle, like something Spanish, you're having entire page is in English, but you're having a short sentence in Spanish, you should put a proper language attribute on the Spanish language. Running time, so don't bother language. Oh, you see the technical issues is okay. And I haven't put too much attention on the UXPin perspective, but it's very important from WCAG to build the responsive page, mobile first. There is a success criteria saying that this page should be available to see in the horizontal and vertical perspective. And this means responsiveness. Of course, WCAG defines some exception, like games, because there's one view. But remember, responsiveness is also something that helps to others, because not everyone, somebody wants to make a zoom, somebody wants to see the page in the different orientation. And the colors, I a little bit put that, but the colors is and the color contrast is quite important. So once you're designing something, the digital or the PDF or the Word, you need to take care about the colors. Of course, you can use the UXPin functionality, which help you to identify and say, oh, now you met the AAA in terms of the color contrast. Of course, if I starting to a little bit play, it might be not readable, but it's very useful to have this functionality. And all design tools having plugins, please install them, or just go to the UXPin. You can have built in. Okay. Colors. So guys, you're UX designers. You know the exactly 11 guidelines to control your design. Control, you must learn the control. So this is your big privilege to build accessible solution and inclusiveness for the other peoples. Remember about it. And my gold rules, accessibility is UX must have. Every UX designer should understand the basic of the accessibility. Also, from other hand, to build the culture of the inclusiveness in the company, your quality assurance folks should also understand that. So not only, oh, it works, but verify that using the keyboard. Maybe switch the screen reader. I don't like to test with the screen readers because there is one disadvantages if I still have a time. There is a really nice page which is called the Power Mapper, and they testing almost every year the screen readers, and they also showing the reliability of the different screen reader and the browser. So if you switch the page, for example, using the JAWS and Chrome, you can have an 85 reliability, even if you build this page correctly. you still might miss a few elements. And yes, I will promise to build the Excel file with this checklist, and it will be public somewhere on the UXPin community page. So I promise I will do this. So don't test with the screen readers. Screen reader is only verification point to see if there is a good or not good. And also with the ARIA, and somebody say the first rule ARIA, don't use it. I will totally agree. There is a different components with the ARIA, and maybe here. Yeah, and this is, for example, if you use the ARIA with something, not necessary every browser and screen there read this correctly. So be careful. I really agree with somebody who wrote down this information on the chat window. Back QA criteria. If you don't have too much, your company don't count the accessibility yet, build a proof of concept. Build something small. Like, for example, in this year, we will focus on the keyboard and focus. That's it. Or maybe the headings. Also, from the business perspective, I would say the US market is a quite mature. This should be a requirement. So if you have a requirement, user should be able to log in on the page. Please add the additional requirement. User should be able to log in with the keyboard only. And that's how to build the accessible solution. I really encourage you all to run the Accessibility Awareness Day, which is every 3rd May in your company. Invite the people who are older, who are having some visual impairment, on other people to see their perspective. And accessibility, what does it really mean for me? We're building the better services for everyone. Everyone can really use it. Even in December, the Zoom was sued by the people who don't have a possibility to switch automated transcription in the Zoom. So Zoom might pay a fine. Even other cases, the Pizza Dominion, which is also sued by the blind person who were not able to order pizza. And this is something that is ultimate goal, because we are the UX designers. We building the empathy, and we're building a digital product for everyone. But also from the perspective of the money, sometimes we can reach the wider audience. If we're saying there's a 50% of the people around the globe that having some impairment, those people having they want to have the bank account. They want to go on the Walmart or Amazon and buy some stuff. Think about it. And usability. We are designers, and accessibility might help to build the better usability for all of us. And I really like this from the business perspective, because if accessibility is some standards, if we follow those standards, it's the less development and maintenance time in the future. Because everyone who joined the company, he can say, oh, there is some guidelines. There is no like, oh, somebody using ARIA hidden, or somebody using the alt, or somebody using the screen reader only class. There is some rules how to build the digital software. And it's a law, guys. Sorry to saying that, but it's a law. In the European Union, we're having the European Accessibility Act, and all public companies should follow the WCAG on the level double. US the same, you're having the section 50A, and you're trying to do this. Also, sorry to saying that, but in the Europe, we're having this, that American people sue for everything. And this is true, because Dominion Pizza, Zoom, we want that this will be equal for everyone. Thank you very much. Sorry for keeping the 6 minutes after the time. This is my Twitter, LinkedIn, if you want to connect, please. Of course, there is a moment for some question. I will try to answer them. I also invite you, and I promise to build this 11 cheat sheet, and we put somewhere. You can join to the community. There will be a special tag that you can also ask additional question related to accessibility. Okay, so there is some question.
Yeah.
There's the accessibility source we can fanatic mobile apps and non-web WC. There is a big section of the mobile that you help you build the mobility, and for mobile is exactly the same. There should be a heading. It should be some structure of the page. Are the accessibility awareness cards available as the resource to use? Honestly, I'm planning to do this. I still don't have a time, but maybe if you encourage me enough, I will really build them and share with others, because there is fancy things to show people a different perspective. Difference accessibility designing for mobile apps and okay, the question is, sorry for not reading the question, there's also some way the accessibility. Can you talk about some difference in terms of accessibility we should be aware when designing for mobile apps and desktop? Is the same. For the desktop we having different rules. There is a different software to verify the accessibility. So this is possible. I also personally doing the desktop application accessible and the Windows and the Apple. There's a great example that they're building the accessibility from beginning. Which one speech reader do you recommend for testing? It depends what you want to test. JAWS is the perfect for Microsoft product. I would say it's really reliable. On the US market, it's cost like $90. Unfortunately, in the Europe, 1,000. The cheap one is the NVDA. So you can just download on the Windows. VoiceOver is already built in on the Mac. I know that is we're running the time, and the question to Natalie, or do we have a still time, or should I just stop?
Here I have a couple questions for you. I'm
Okay.
not sure if you have already answered them just now, but I had jotted them down on the side. But first of all, before we jump into the Q&A, wow, Piotr, that was just, so informative. Thank you so much for sharing all the resources and all your knowledge. And a huge thank you to our interpreters, Conrad and Bernard, for really making this more inclusive. The chat, as you saw, and the Q&A section, it was just going off, and really great presentation. So a question that we saw was Magdalena. They found it hard to find prototype software which is accessible and lets them conduct usability accessible tests. Do you recommend any products for testing these or for such software?
I would say one screen there. I would say that every of us should have a understanding on the screen there and just the contact with the people who are using this on the daily basis. They are the best testers ever. In terms of if I understand, could you repeat this first sentence related to what Magdalena really looking for? Is the screen there or the prototype?
The prototype. So they found it hard to find prototype software which is accessible and lets them.
Yeah. So yeah, this is hard, I would say, but if you have even the prototype in the UXPin on different design tools, you still can verify that with the deaf people, with the older people. Yes, there is a huge problem with the, let's say, the prototype which not HTML based, because without that it's really hard to build. You can still, what we usually did, we built the bootstrap template very quickly to simulate some main action. There's additional cost, or the framework that you're using. For example, if you're using the React, you can build very quickly, if you're working in the agile environment, something that you can test with the community. But yes, there's a tough. There is no like one obvious answer for that.
Okay, thank you for that. Another question from SW is, can you talk about some differences in terms of accessibility we should be aware of when designing for mobile apps versus desktop?
Not on this talk. There's a big lag. Maybe we should run a different one. There is some similarity, as I show you, the headings. Also on the mobile native application, you defining the heading, but there is no structure. You just define, okay, this will be the heading one. Also on the, I don't know if my camera allow me, but let's switch the voiceover. Okay, I'll. Oh, this is a voiceover, and I can switch between different components. There's the headings. You see the codings, headings, the links. So it's exactly the same. You need to have a different knowledge to build that in the software. And the same is applied for the desktop, but this is totally different conversation. Yeah, sorry for that.
No problem. And through your talk, you shared many resources, and there are many questions about the resources as well. So I would like to just sum up this webinar with the last question here of, are there any accessibility resources you would recommend for just in general, or maybe native mobile apps or non-web content?
Yeah, so this is my resources, accessibility, splitting in the different sections. So you can see there is a lot of them. There is also some articles. I think we can make a challenge accepted to make together with the UXPin a place that we put those links in the one thing, because there's many topics. Challenge accepted, UXPin?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So we agree. So guys, we will find a place that we can put those information into one bucket.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us and for your time, Bernard and Conrad. Thank you. It's been a real pleasure. And a huge thank you to everyone who is tuning in to join us today on the webinar. The chat was very engaging, so thanks for your attention and your great questions and for engaging with us. All right, so that sums up our webinar for today. But for those of you who are interested in hearing about UXPin's latest release, I'll be doing a short 5-minute demo of Merge technology and how to simplify and improve communication between your design and development. So I'll go ahead and share my screen now and get this set up. All right. All right, do you see my present mode? Okay, here we go. Okay, so a little bit about us. UXPin is a code-based design platform that provides designers the ability to build low to high fidelity prototypes. So basically everything you'd want from a vector-based tool, but with the additional benefits of code. And that means that teams can design in code without knowing how to code. They can build powerful interactive designs by implementing logic, variables, and states. And most importantly, UXPin also strives to help with design and development teams connect much deeper as they share the same design system and have a single source of truth in one system. So this flow may look very familiar to you. The chart reflects the ideal design process for many teams. You have your business requirements, you design it, mock it up with a low fidelity wireframe, collect feedback, and then you'll create a higher fidelity prototype and then test and iterate. And then the prototype is handed off to developers to code, and it's finally pushed to production. And that would be in a perfect world, right? Well, now this flow is probably more familiar and more relatable because teams are working in silos, and this leads to less communication and more room for errors and friction in every stage of the process. So as you know, the intended design can get lost in translation and design doesn't always translate to code properly. So it's our mission to simplify this communication between designers and developers. And one of the most effective ways is to build robust prototypes so designers can make their prototypes look realistic like the final product. And they can ensure that the vision and the experience is properly implemented into the design. Another way to Another possible way is to have consistency through design systems, like how Piotr mentioned in the presentation today. This will reduce the risk of drift and any misinterpretation by developers. So because UXPin is a code-based design platform, that means that everything within the editor will look familiar to designers, but the backend is rendered in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And since everything behind the scenes is in code, UXPin will significantly reduce the drift between, they'll reduce the drift and really simplify the handoff. So it'll make it much easier for both designers and developers, and it'll make it friendly for both. So we recently just launched a new product called UXPin Merge. And this truly bridges the gap between design and development by including developers in the design process. And we're really excited about this because it's a product we've co-created with other product teams based on their feedback and on design and development communication challenges. So the way Merge works is that it syncs your React.js coded components from your Git repositories with the UXPin editor. And with Merge, designers can create realistic experiences faster than ever. So while developers can use the power of, this allows them to reuse components, right? So if you have hard-coded components, they'll be able to import it into the editor. For example, a robust pattern like a sortable table will already be built out for the designers to prototype with. And you all may know how difficult or advanced that is to build. The power of reusing common hard-coded components will keep the design and the development teams in complete sync. So it'll connect the two designers and developers by integrating development into your design ops process. And the immediate impacts of Merge can be seen in 3 ways. So the first is velocity. UXPin Merge eliminates the traditional design handoff process because the designs were built using the exact same coded components as in the end product. And the second is consistency. Finding a single source of truth is always a challenge. And with Merge, your code will be that single source of truth. And the third piece is collaboration. So UXPin Merge takes away any friction between designers and developers, and it solves a lot of the collaboration challenges that teams face by providing both a single source of truth and a design platform that spans across both teams. So really, communication can happen in many ways, and why not have a platform and process that does it for you? So that sums up my deck here, and now I'm going to jump into UXPin's Merge and just give you a quick demo. Let me just delete some of these here. All right. So on the left-hand side, you can see that there's a full list of UI components. These components are from our different repositories. So I'm using the UXPin boilerplate for now, but you can see that these here are all connected to the repositories that your team imports. Okay, so with these, you can quickly build a prototype that already meets the production standards from the beginning. And everything starts with a simple drag and drop. So I'll just go ahead and bring out a button here. And all the elements can be quickly adjusted with a specific screen size. So here I have a medium size. I can switch this over to large, make it stretched or not stretched. And next I'll bring in a credit card. And you can see that when you're working with merge components, the key difference here is that you're really doing more of an adaptation job for your specific requirements rather than styling or building everything from scratch. And from the code, these are the prop types on the right. I can go ahead and just override this and adapt for the experience or design that I'm working on now. All right, and you can see that we have different cards here available that are already designed. And next I'll bring out a sortable table like how I mentioned earlier. So I have this table here. And this is already hard coded, so I don't have to add any interactions or states for sorting this. I just simply brought it to the canvas. I can go ahead and add another category here. Let's say a triangle player. We can add that. And then now we have that column added. Like, how simple was that, right? So you have these preliminary boundaries that follow your company's style guide or design system, and it just helps you ensure overall consistency of your design. Let's say that you folks have a library that's already tested with accessibility standards. You'll already have that in the library and the code, so you can easily make a prototype and design your experience with that. What's also great is that you can mix your elements with non-merge components and with the UXPin classical elements, like we can draw a simple box and make it a button, for example. So we have that here. I'll bring out a bar chart as well. And it has all the animations built in as too. So from here, I'll go ahead and add an interaction to this box that I brought on, and we can have the interactions affect properties on a merge component. So if I click on this, I can say, add an interaction and say, when I click this, let's change the property of this, of my bar chart, and let's just change the fill. Okay, let's just make this pink. And like that, you can easily mix and match and combine your components and the interaction. So here with this merge component, I can also add an interaction. And I can say, when we click on this, let's also just set the property of our bar chart. Let's do the fill again, and then let's just make it black. Great. And so now, without really adding much more to this, I can go into our preview mode, and you can see that everything is interactive. All right, so we can see that this table is sortable. And we can click this, that turns it to black. I can click this, and that should turn it to pink. And I forgot to mention to you that these are your merge components will already have the states and everything built in the code. So we can change the type here to make it maybe secondary or a warning, and you wouldn't have to design those states. It'll just be there available for you. Now going into the spec mode of our prototype, you'll see that the JSX code is already generated because it's coming from the repository. So if I were to click this, developers would be able to just copy this and implement it in their process as it's the JSX code that they've already written. All right. And so to sum it all up, everything's here that you've worked with is already coded and it mimics the end product perfectly. And you wouldn't really need to explain to your devs how to code something from scratch anymore, but rather it's like building blocks for the team that they need to use in specific scenarios. And that sums up my demonstration of merge technology. And if you would love to see more or learn more about it, please get in contact with us. We'll go ahead and paste the link in the chat. But other than that, thank you so much for your time today. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and thank you so much for joining us.